Okay, so Justin, thanks for talking. Um, just going to go straight in. We've conceded 10 goals in 2 games, lost quite heavily in both of those. Where do you go from here?
It's hard because we were just talking about that, and there isn't actually if we haven't become a bad team overnight, there's two terrible performances, and I just said in there I'm sort of bored of hearing my own voice when I'm speaking to him with some of the stuff I'm saying. It's quite repetitive in terms of we need to be working harder and stuff like that. But we've had a couple of young lads who come on and did really well today, and a couple of signings who are sort of featuring. But it's the same team as last year, and I said that to him in there that we've won. We won like 11 out of 13 or something last season, and that's the same team. So we haven't become a bad team overnight. We just need to sort of stick to what we're doing. There will be changes because some of them look like they didn't care, if I'm honest. But I'm sort of quite reluctant to just again make wholesale changes because I know it cares to some of them, and bad games happen, and we're unfortunate that 2 have happened in a row. But we've got to try, and it can be a long season, and if we start putting too much of a negative spin on I'm really not happy, and I know a lot of the players aren't. And like I said, some care more than others, which is the frustrating part for me. Some giving up and things like that, but those are the people that will be missing out next week, really. So it is a long season. There's only 3 games in, and while 3 points isn't really what we're looking for, we went through a similar spell last year in sort of November, and I think it's harder now because it's at the start of the season, and it's also harder because I think people expect a bit more from us because of what we produced last year. So I'm still confident in every player there and in the players who aren't playing. We're lucky we've got a really big squad, and I'm still happy with who I've got, and I'm not going to go against the players for that. I think they tried. I think if you look at the last 10 minutes, if we played like that, then we would have won the game comfortably. This one actually hurts a bit more than last week, to be honest, because like I said to him in there, and I'm not being disrespectful to Lydeard, but none of the teams up near the top half will drop points at home to them. So we have, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. But like I said, I'm not going to lose faith in all the players. Like it is what it is, and hopefully we'll put it right next week.
It's going to sound a little harsh, but how come nothing was learnt from last week? Because there was lots to take away from that game to improve on. How come nothing seems to have improved?
I don't know, if I'm honest. I'm very clear of what I want from the players, and how that. Yes, we've got players who can perform good things, but I've constantly drill it into them that we have to work hard to earn the right to play. Teams like that base their whole game around working hard and being solid, hard and break down. And we had spells in the first half where we were quite good, but then as soon as you concede the first goal, organised teams like that suddenly have something to sort of fight for and defend, and then it makes it really hard. And then you have the individual error for to make the second goal, and it's not his fault. That happens. I'm not blaming anyone, but then suddenly 2-0 so it becomes so hard against a team like that who aren't very open. And then we showed what we could have done if we really put it on them in the second half, and we hope we can do that from the start next week. That's what I want to start games how we finish this one. That's what I always want to do. Some games we do, some games we don't. That's football. It happens, but being a good team means doing it consistently over longer periods of the game, and we were doing that last year, and we're not now. So we just got to get back onto doing that. We explained there that I want everyone at training. I want everyone available for the next game. I don't want anyone going, oh, my head's not right, or I don't feel this. This is when you see players sort of stepping up and counting when games are times are tough and that. And it's been 2 poor results, but like I said, I believe in the team, and I think we're a good side, and I think we're better than what we're showing, and I think we'll be better next week.
You touched on it just there. We came down from 3-0 down to pull back to 3-2. How come it took so long? It took 80 odd minutes to switch on. Is it to do with the subs you brought on and the changes you made that brought everyone to life, or
possibly? Yeah, I mean the subs, they gave us a lot of energy. I think the 2 lads, Ash and Eddie, did really well. Considering what they had, they didn't have loads of the ball, and loads of sort of people weren't supplying them as well, but they showed they cared, and also Rogers, when he come on, I thought gave us loads of energy, and maybe next week we'll field a team that's more about energy and pressing and wanting to win the ball and want to win, rather than some flair players and people that are a bit more, I don't know, I have to assess it all. I don't want to be too drastic and stuff. Like, we need good players to win games as well, so it's got to be a fine line, and understanding that you've got to win games via working hard and then obviously playing as well. But yeah, I don't know why it started. We were trying to do that. I think they probably just lost. When you go 1-0 down and then 2-0 down and then 3, I appreciate it's a hot day. They're just losing. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I think it's hard when you're 3-0 down. You probably know you're not going to get anything out of the game. So that's probably why it didn't come. And then when Lewis gets that shot and it goes in, suddenly it gives everyone a lift. So I understand why it happened, especially going down that, but it's still not really acceptable. So you can tell a lot by players when you when you're 3-0 down, and who's putting it in and who's working. For me, just a special mention's got to go to Baz. I think he's played 90 minutes in both games, and last week when it was 5-1, 6-1, 6-2, whatever it was, and today just 100% the whole time. And I'm not saying other players didn't put it in at times or have okay games, but if everyone played like Baz did in the last 2 games, we would have won both those games and not lost them. So people need to step up a little bit. He has, and if someone who's 19 can play like that and take responsibility on his shoulders, he needs to get people around him doing it more, and we need to get people around doing it more, and I think we'll be right.
Obviously, I appreciate that it's very early in the season and it's way too early to call. But do you think with the expectations of us challenging for promotion that maybe the pressure's getting too much for the lads?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we sometimes bring it up in terms of motivation, but it's not something that it's really spoke about in terms of, we must get promoted or we must win the league. It's just a thing that it's nice when we win and we talk about it. I think we put a pressure on ourselves, and I know other people from outside the club have made us sort of favourites for the league or favourites to get promoted, and I don't think that's put a pressure on the players. But what I think it might have done is made players think, maybe we are quite good, and maybe that what we were doing really well last year was working really hard and taking our chances when we got them, and that's why we went on a really good run. And I think we've lost that a little bit, and I think if we can get that back, then we'll be fine. And like you said, it's a long season, so we'll hope that we can shoot back up the league again. It's only two games. You can drop points in 7, 8, 9, 10 games, maybe, to be up there. So it is only 2, and I'm confident we can go on a run to get it. If we suddenly win the next 3 or 4, suddenly it doesn't look quite as bad. So that's what we'll hope to do.
Looking forward, next Saturday's Bristol Telephones. Last year we did really well down there. Going on the past 2 games, do you think we're going to struggle a lot more next Saturday against Bristol Telephones, or do you think it's going to be a lot more positive for the side next week?
Yeah, I mean, we always try and put positives. I mean, we'll try and, yes, we'll reflect on what happened today in training and the start next week, but then after that it'll be about just focusing on what we do. And like I said, it's been 2 bad weeks, but more often than not I'm more proud of the players and more happy with what they do, that they've got a good work ethic and they're good players. So generally I'm always confident we can go and beat teams. I don't think we'll beat them 6-1. I think they'd had a long year and we were in the middle of the run of that we were in. I think we'd won 6-7 in a row at that point, so it's not going to be that easy, and if we play anything like we have in the last 2 weeks, then we won't win there. I mean, every team in this league is decent, so but I do think we'll put it right. I really do think that this week they're hurting even more than last week, and I think they're too good a player. They're too good to just let it carry on and on. So I expect them to step up, and I think we've got a good chance of winning if we play like we can. And
finally, you mentioned we had a couple of young players out there today. How do you think they coped with the step up to Western League? Do you think they are going to be future prospects for our league?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Eddie played quite a few games for Part last year. I think he played 16, 17 games, and Ash has been, he's a good player. They're both, they've been away the first 2 games, or they would have featured because they were really good in pre-season. So we were really happy we get them on board. It's a really sort of rubbish situation. We did it with Ryan last week. Unfortunately, you're chucking players on when it's 2-3-0 or whatever, and you're expecting them to go and do stuff. Ideally, you want to be 2-3-0 up, bedding them in that way. But they've probably earned the right to be. Well, they'll definitely be involved next week. I don't know the team yet or whatever. I have to think about that, but they'll be involved with the squad because they play well and we believe in them. And I think that we're not doing it just because they're young. I think they gave us energy. Ash and Eddie were getting stuck in, and it looked like they really wanted to play next week. So that's what I was looking for when you're 2-0, 3-0 down. And I think young players can give us that sort of edge, I think.